Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, you got your seat.
For the love of palmetto cheese.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. We have a great show for you today. I'm your host, Scott Alexander, but let's get right to it. It's going to be about the NFL draft. That's right, it starts this Thursday, and the Saints have picked 29 on Thursday in the first round, and on Friday they have picks 40 and 71, and many more on Saturday when the fourth round begins. We're going to have Tyjae Spears, the Conference Player of the Year in the American Athletic Conference. He is the Offensive Player of the Year. He went to Tulane, and we saw what he did, man. He went 200-yard games, 200-yard games, racked them up, and this guy's put himself squarely in the third round. He's hoping maybe even second round, but he's going to have an in-depth interview today to tell you all about everything that's gone on since that great win in the Cotton Bowl against USC. How about the playoffs basketball? The Heat and Bucks, the first time ever, multiple teams that are 7 and 8 seeds or have 3-1 leads in NBA history. That's right, the Lakers and Grizz and Heat and Bucks. The Lakers 7 seed, Heat 8 seed, are both leading 3-1. Jimmy Butler's performance was unbelievable. 56 points. They were down 15. He got them to win the game. That's the fourth highest score by a player in NBA history in the playoffs. And how about LeBron? How about this? Kareem, Elgin, Wilt, and Shaq. The only other Lakers ever to do 20, 20, and 5. Points, rebounds, assists. That's right, he's the oldest player to do 20-20 ever in anybody. He's got the first ever to 20 rebounds. LSU spring practice. Great stuff happening there. It's over now. Brian Kelly's going to come on the show soon. And LSU baseball. Hayden Travinski, 3-run shot with 2 outs and 2 strikes. Wins the game with a 3-run home run to sweep the Ole Miss Rebels. They are continuing to be number 1 in the country. Big show for you today. Tyjae Spears, Ross Jackson coming up next right here on Primetime Sports.
Sundays at 6:30 p.m.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. And as you know, I love this time of year, besides the great weather, besides Jazz Fest, French Quarter Fest was recent. Well, sports, hey, the Zurich Open was phenomenal this past weekend. NBA playoffs are heating up. How about those games last night? But we know what we love down here in the Bayou. We love football, whether it be college or pro. And the NFL draft is coming up, as we talked about in the Open, in just 2 days. And back in December, right after he won the American Conference Championship, he also got named the Conference Offensive Player of the Year. Well, Tyjae Spears joined the show. But what a 4.5 months it's been since then. They went on to that great win over USC. He and I both said they'd win that game. I remember we sat here right here and said that, and they won. What a great comeback, down 45-30. They came back and won it in the last few minutes of the game. Tyjae ripped him up for 4 touchdowns. What a performance he is. And here he is, back again, waiting to be drafted in a few days. And I know he can't wait. We can't either. Tyjae, welcome back, my friend. It's so good to have you, man.
I know, man. I appreciate you for having me, man. I'm super, super excited.
I love you. You're in your workout clothes. You ready?
Yeah.
That's a tight little shirt you got there. I mean,
You gotta rep the wave. You gotta rep the wave, man.
I mean, talk about this. What a whirlwind. I mean, let's just start from just 4.5 months ago. You were here. I mean, you were humbled. You're like, man, oh my God, we just won this. We're 11-2. We're going to the Cotton Bowl to play, the Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. And we both sat here and we said, you know what? I said, you're going to win this game. And you're like, you think so? And you look at me and goes, I do too. I think we're going to win. And then from that moment on, just talk about the whirlwind it's been for 4 months.
Man, it's definitely been a blessing. Like you said, it's been a whirlwind. We did some things that, people didn't think we would do, but we knew we would do. And just transitioning from that, I've been having a great time from the Senior Bowl to the Combine to Pro Day. So it's just all been a blessing, and I just been making sure I just slow myself down so I can grasp in everything and understand that it's a blessing to be here.
It was such a refreshing thing to talk to you there at the time, because we're talking about when you won the championship game, and that was a big deal. Everybody was on the field and everybody was rushing, and I was reminding you back in '73, the only time I've ever really seen that. I was that kid looking at that team that just beat LSU 14-0 with 84,000 people in the old Tulane Stadium. And you said, man, there's kids and students coming up, but there's also these 80-year-old men saying, thank you for what you've done. I mean, you remember that memory, and is that something that's going to stick with you forever?
It got to stick with you forever, because that was my first time being a part of something like that. So it's going to stick with me forever and ever. And hopefully we get those same memories in the NFL. But like that one right there, the first one, then how we did it, like coming from 2-10 to 11, we was 11-2 at the time. So yeah, we was 11-2, coming from 2-10 to 11-2. So that just made it more special.
I got to take you back to the game that made you 12-2, because listen, I have a lot of friends that went to USC. I have a lot of friends in the Pac-12. I produced Pac-12 games with Fox. I don't think any of them, in fact, I know none of them thought y'all had a chance. But I said, look at the spread. It's only one. Somebody knows something. Talk about going into that game. Was there any fear of this team? I mean, because we both know that these two offenses are high-powered, and the defenses, were good, but these offenses were pretty powerful, and you knew there was probably going to be a high-scoring game. But what were your thoughts going in? And then take me through the game when y'all were down, and then you were coming back, and then when you had that chance to win, and you did it.
Of course, like, the thoughts are coming in, okay, like, they're going to score points and we're going to score points. It's all about, who can make the least mistakes, and also like who can score the most points. And we had confidence, and like we was just soaking in the moment. I was just remembering me going around like whatever it take, but I also kept on reminding them like, man, we practicing in Jerry World, we practicing in Cowboy Stadium, we practicing in NFL Stadium. So like college teams, we don't get to experience, like especially us, we don't get to experience that. We of course we practice in the Saints, and shout out to the Saints, and we thankful for that. But like we in, we Wayland, Dallas practicing in the Cowboy Stadium, so like that's an amazing feeling already. But man, just being down, we was down the whole game. It sucked, but they kept scoring. They held the ball for so long. So when we got the ball, we ain't had that much. We ain't really, we got the ball. We only had it for like a short period of time, and they just had it. So like they was dominating us with the time of possession in the first half. Like Pratt made a big play, big run, and ever since then, like we was just on and popping. But we was down 15 in the last 4 minutes. Man, that was crazy. That was crazy. We was actually like, before we got our rings, we just got our Cotton Bowl rings. Oh man, they're amazing. But they sweet. Yeah, they sweet. But man, I was just watching the game, and I was just like, man, I was just sitting there like, dang, we really did all that. We really did it. I really can't even explain it to you.
I see the joy in your face.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, I love when you said the Cowboy Stadium, because if you haven't been there, you don't know. Because listen, all apologies to the Saints and their facilities. They're wonderful. But there's nothing like that one. I've been to every stadium. I've worked in every stadium. I've been a fan of many of them. And when you walk in that place, it's just nothing like it. I mean, when you see that screen up there that covers the entire place,
look,
I mean, you have to feel like this is another level.
It is, man. It sliding doors everywhere, a lot of glass everywhere. It's just the feel when you step on it, feel like it just feels softer than real grass.
Right.
It is greener than real. I know it's fake, but it's like, it's so green.
But it's so soft.
The
too.
lighting in there is just perfect. So like, man, that's an amazing stadium.
But to see all the fans, man. I mean, the old Tulane Stadium had so many possibly, it was a Sugar Bowl stadium. It's where the Saints played. I mean, so of course it was big. And y'all have a great intimate stadium now. I mean, I love Ullman because when that thing was rocking like it was this year, it was something else, and I hope it continues that way. But when you're in that place and you're just like, oh my goodness, I mean, this is as big as it gets, and you're talking about all the sliding glass doors, but when y'all are down 45-30, this is what I got to ask you, because I was sitting there with my son, and I'm on the river at Dickie Brennan's house, and Dickie looked at me and goes, man, can they do it? And I'm sitting there watching the game like this, and I'm like, you know, like a fan. I was enjoying because I had LSU on one TV and y'all on the other, and LSU was beating them by like 50. So my focus was on this, and I looked at them. I'm like, we score, we get a stop, score again, go for 2, win the game, or at least put it in overtime. But when they fumbled that kickoff and they went out of bounds on like the 1, I said, we got this. And I said we because I was all in. And I grew up a Tulane fan. But the fact is, when that happened, what's going through Tyjae Spears' head?
The same thing you said, but my last word was different. So I was like, we got that.
You got that? Yeah,
yeah, we got it.
Right, we got it.
Yeah, we got him. So, like, yeah, I cursed at the end, but, like, yeah, we got him now. Because, like I said, we was down the whole game. It was our first chance to gain the lead in a perfect time. At the end of the game, and they ain't gonna get the ball back when it's time, you know. So when they get the ball back, they ain't gonna have no time. Man, I was like reflecting back to it again. Man, Pratt was making some amazing plays. It was like 4th down, like twice that last drive.
Crazy. I'm gonna say all 3. Think about those last 4 minutes. All 3 parts of the team, offense, safety, defense, and special teams, they got the safety. The kick was that kind of the reason he hit it. It was a kick that was kind of swirling, and he caught it in a line drive and it went out of bounds. And then you guys took care of the rest, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable to watch that offense in sync. I mean, it seems like every one of those players on offense, the skill positions, did something special, and it was just such a team effort. When y'all, the exhilaration of that win, because I had some great picks when I had Coach Fritz on. I had obviously Sincere on after that. I also had on Pratt again, and just watching the joy in the fans and the players' faces, and when they all came together. I just want to say, how did that feel, and what was the experience like for you?
I can't even describe the feeling because I don't know. It's like you said, a lot of guys made a lot of great plays, so I was just so in the moment and just standing on stage and just seeing all the confetti come down. It's just, I don't know. It's just like almost like a dream up there, and I really don't.
It had to feel that way, right?
I'm saying I really don't understand. I don't understand how big it is. But like a lot of people always tell me how big it is. Like we really just won a Cotton Bowl and we won it in the best way possible. We probably go down as probably like one of the best wins in the history of the Cotton Bowl.
Without question. I mean,
as of today, and as of 10 years from now, I still think we're gonna have one of the best wins in history.
10 years, you go 50. I'm in my mid-50s. I mean, listen, I go back. You can't get more exciting than that. Especially the big moment. You're 2-10 last season. This got you to 12-2. The greatest comeback turnaround of a team in NCAA history, and you were a main part of that. You were the MVP of the Offensive Player of the Year of the conference. I mean, soak this in. Look, kid from Ponchatoula, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just be hard for me to accept it. I'm just so humble. But,
you are?
Yeah, but I'm blessed.
What a team effort, though, honestly, all the way around.
I'm blessed. I couldn't do it every day without him. So that's why I said, like, I did a lot of accomplishments on my own, but if those big guys wasn't, blocking for me, it'd be way harder for me to do it. So I probably wouldn't.
They opened some great holes for you, but I'm going to say, I looked at you last time you were on. You've even gotten stronger. I can see it. You're working out, getting ready for the draft. But I remember looking at you, and I watched a lot of your film, and I'm like, how is this guy so strong? Like, I mean, you take on 2 guys are hitting you, you wiggle through, you knock them off, and I'm sitting there, how is he doing this? And, I mean, tell me about that heart you got, and how does it happen? I mean, seriously, these guys are much bigger than you.
Yeah, I'm pretty strong in the weight room, though.
There's no joke.
I ain't saying I'm the strongest, but I'm pretty strong. But it's just
you're very strong. Don't even kid yourself. I mean, you're very strong. Just watch some film and you're knocking these guys backwards. I'm like, what? How does he get that?
It's just all how you wanna go about it, what you wanna do with it. So I'm trying to go all the way, and I'm trying to be legendary at the end, when it's all said and done. So you can't let just because you see 3 guys in front of you, you can't let them stop you, because 9 times out of 10, they were more worried about you than you were about them.
100. I'm gonna say this: that combination of the strength with the quicks. I mean, obviously they know that you're gonna. So when you got guys coming at you, they know you're quicker than them, half of them. Do you see fear in their eyes ever?
Nah,
Or you're not looking that way?
you could tell like by, you could tell it probably like throughout the game. You could see like they'll approach you differently. Yeah, you'll see it.
What's the difference between when you got to Tulane and the level of let's say athleticism, athlete from where it is now? Because to me, I'm just going to go back to when Fritz got the job, which was before that even, and it's night and day. But for you as a player, you've seen, for me, the size of the linemen just seem to be bigger.
Yeah.
Talk about for what you've noticed on the difference of these guys.
And it's like that's what I'm like noticing like now. Even from I noticed that coming to college, and I look back at high school.
Right.
It's like the size difference, and also like I feel like they have like waves. Maybe you catch a smaller group, then you're gonna catch a bigger group.
Right.
I think it just be in waves like that. I think it's only so long before they gonna get bigger. You know what I'm saying? So it just be waves.
Dorian's the last captain I haven't had on, but he's going to come on after the draft. But had Sincere on, had Pratt on twice before the season and after the season, and I had Nick Anderson on during the season, right after the Kansas State game, and I wasn't sure what to believe because they all were saying, these other three were saying, yeah, we had this captain's meeting, and we said, we're not going to do this again. We're going to win the championship. And Pratt said it in June last year, like 10 months ago. And, of course, you're coming off 2-10 season. I'm like, okay, he's confident. I like that. But let's be real. I mean, Cincinnati just went to the Final Four. Houston's supposed to be great. They're ranked really high. You had all these teams. But yet it happened. So as a guy that's, I think because you had to sit out a year with an injury, you were technically a junior in your fourth season, right? When you looked at when they came and told y'all in that team meeting after it, I'm assuming they met first and they got y'all. What were they saying back about February of last year when they got y'all and said, hey, we're going to win the championship? What was your thought, Tyjae, when you hear this?
It was just, I thought it was just like yours. I was like, huh?
Right, you're honest, right?
But like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. But
right,
like, from that day on, it was just a lot of, everybody bought in. You gotta buy in, and I feel like if that's, we got to take the next step. We been knew we wasn't going 10-10. I mean, 2-10, right? 10-10. That's a lot of games.
Yeah, it's a lot of games. Maybe we knew when you go to the playoffs.
Yeah, we knew we wasn't going 2-10 again. So like from Memphis, so we just bought in what they said, and also that's when we started holding each other accountable. And like also in that meeting, they established position leaders too. So like everybody. So from the position. They had every position on the team had a leader that they would come to if they had problems or something. Nice. And also that leader will hold everybody in the position accountable. But me, I was like, I'm more like, they was the captains. Yeah, they was the captains. They was the great leaders. But I was like almost like the captain of the offense. So like the leader of the offense, I would say. So I would be the one to get everybody together and stuff like that.
I've interviewed a lot of young players over my time. I used to host a show in Atlanta where, guys like in basketball, LeBron would come in high school, Chris Paul, but also tons of Peyton Manning back in '94 when he was 9. But when I see these guys on Tulane, it's amazing. I tell this to people all the time. Like when I had Nick and obviously Michael and go down the line I said the maturity and leadership qualities I'm seeing with almost every one of these guys is almost extraordinary. Because I'm looking at them like, is that something that y'all were noticing as other players? You have a bunch of smart guys on your team, guys that are humble, smart, and damn good on the football field. It's a great combination. And if I had known these dudes all before, I might have bought in too, because I had no idea of the maturity level of these guys and the leadership. Let's use Nick just for an example, Nick Anderson. I met him and I'm like, this guy could be the president of any company one day. He's a dude that you want to follow. But you had a bunch of those guys. Did you notice that same thing on your squad?
I did. It's just when you like let's use Nick for example. I don't know. I kind of know his background a little bit coming from
Vicksburg,
high school,
right?
Yeah, from high school.
You're not far away. Yeah.
From I forgot. Vicksburg High, whatever.
Yeah.
So he went to a high school down there, didn't get many offers.
Right.
Had to go to Jones, then he had to come here. So I'm saying that because it makes you humble when things make you humble like when you go through a lot of different things. So like we ain't cocky like most of us. Like we probably experienced a lot, and also it took a lot for us to get here. So we just appreciative of the moment, and we just ain't gonna let anything pass us by. So like we gotta be humble to just take everything in to show that we're appreciative for how far we came.
That's a great point, man, because you had to fight hard for it. You had to earn it as opposed to being handed to you by a number of people.
Fight hard to get here, fight hard to stay here, fight hard to move on from here. So it's like every level of life, and like I said, Nick is a great example. Like we just had to fight for everything. Like most likely if you were at Tulane, it wasn't given to you. You had to take, a little bit, different route. You had to, it was a few detours, but it was all worth it because like what we did this past year, and also we still got opportunity at the end of the day. So it's all a blessing, man.
I'm going to put you on the spot in a fun way. Not counting the Cotton Bowl because there's so many great memories. Not counting even the championship game because obviously the memory of being on the field and you in the paper you're on the shoulder of, I don't know, players and all the fans around you. That's one of the greatest pictures literally I've ever seen. I remember I got chills in my whole body right now.
I appreciate it.
Because I came back in town I had my own championship game. I was in Boise. And I came back and I'm like, look at this page. Look at this full color picture. But when I look at one moment, I'm gonna say this, one moment during the season, one game, what sticks out with you? First thing we say when wow, that was a great moment during the season, regular season.
It gotta be a game.
Well, it could be just in a moment in a game. Maybe you won it, you scored, or you beat a team that maybe you didn't think.
I'll give you two.
Give me two. I like two.
Man, it's just like how we used to just sit around after practice and just kick it in the locker room. Whether we doing something crazy or whether we running around the locker room, just play fighting and just chilling. Like you can't buy that. You can't buy that moment. Then also like a moment.
I love that, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, a moment. It was two moments with Nick. Me and Nick,
Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson, yeah. That's we bump heads so much, but that's my boy. So Houston. We was going into overtime. Yeah. We met at the middle of the field and we prayed. We knew me and him was confident that we was gonna win this game. Then after the game, he had, after I caught the winning pass.
Yes.
I didn't want to say that, but
no, but you did. No. I remember.
But so after I had caught that, he came to me like, "Yeah, man, I told you, I knew it. Like, thank you, God. And also, at the second half of the championship game, we prayed again in the locker room end zone. We prayed in the locker room end zone. We just prayed, and we was confident, and we knew that. I wouldn't have, I'd be in my head so much. I didn't think I was having too much of a good game. Then after that, we just prayed, and that's when I bust that 60-yard run.
Yes.
So man, it's just like those prayers and those times that it was needed. I feel like that brought us together, and I feel like that's more important. That's more special than anything.
I love the moment, man. I love it. Now, I'm glad you mentioned Houston because I say this a lot. Because you had the 3-game win streak to start season. Kansas State, everybody knew. I mean, that team ended up winning the Big 12. You beat the Big 12 champion on their home field, okay? Enough said. And then you came back, and, it's always a letdown. I was thinking, man, Southern Miss got you. But you go on a Friday night, and I'm usually working every Saturday, so I don't get to watch it live. I always have it I'm catching the game cast on ESPN while I'm working my own game, and everybody's like, what are you looking at? I'm looking at the Green Wave and LSU. But the fact is I got to watch the Friday night game. I was at Ohio State that weekend, and I remember thinking it was Houston, and I'm like, the quarterback got hurt. But that game to me, because I did Houston earlier in the year. They were at Texas Tech, and I knew that quarterback was great. That wide receiver's a beast. We all know that. That guy's something else. But when y'all beat them, and the whole nation's watching, because Friday night, if you're not out, and if you love football, you're watching that game or two that's on. And to me, I just went back as my crew, our announcers, Spencer Tillman, who's a legend at Oklahoma, and he won a national championship, and he was MVP of that team and all that. And Tim Brando's been doing this for 40 years, and I said, Tulane's, this is it. They got this one on the road after they lost, and 4-1, I believe, at that time. I could be wrong. Could have been 5-1. But point being is, that told me that the rest of the season, anything could happen.
Yeah, and we were so, I know me, I can't speak for everybody else. I was so appreciative. We didn't want to lose against Southern Miss, but I was so appreciative for it because that was a turnaround of our season, and also that brought us together.
That brought you together.
Because even Nick, Nick was so much a big piece. I'm steady bringing up his name.
No, I love him all, but Nick was a big. He's a leader. Let's be honest. I mean, Dorian's phenomenal too. Oh.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like Nick was so much of a big piece of everything. He was just like, man, it's just like we needed that loss. We needed that loss. We needed to humble ourselves, and also like this is our warning. This is our sign that we got to come back to work and work harder. You know, if we gonna either stay right here in this moment and lose out the rest of the year, we gonna learn from it and progress.
I mean, SMU Thursday night. I mean, they beat you pretty darn good the year before. Ask Willie. Some of his worst losses
good this year.
Some of his worst losses were these heartbreaking losses to SMU. And then last year you got pretty good. But one of them is like, I don't know if you were there at Tulane yet, but that time they right on the goal line and it looked like they had the W. Even the ESPN announcer said that was a bad call. So when y'all just took it out and took them out behind the woodshed and spanked them hard, I mean, you could have scored 100 in that game. We're real. I think you ended up with like 65. I don't know what the final was. I mean, I can't even add that high. But I mean, y'all kept scoring and scoring. And Willie was on right after that, and I said, Willie, that had to feel good. You know how humble Willie Fritz is, right? He said, gosh darn, Scott, it felt real good. I mean, when Willie's doing that, how do the players feel? Because that's a game, and I'm just talking about each week, man. Even the game you lost against UCF, I mean, you got to avenge it, and you beat them too. So, I mean, every time, y'all kept going one by one. Memphis and all these games that people thought, oh, this is the week they're going to lose. Cincinnati, of course they're going to lose there. They've won 33 in a row at home, and you took them out. How special was all that?
They just didn't know. It was crunch time by that time because we just lost to UCF. It was crunch time, so whatever it took during that time.
I'm just telling we're going 30. Hey, real quick, now I got to go postseason because this is when the whirlwind starts, right? You get the huge win against, then everything. I mean, I talked to Mike Arata, who was like saying how appreciative you in particular were just to get $200 in NIL. I mean, you know, and now he said he had to call and beg people, hey, can you donate to this? We're trying to get this thing going. And he said after Cincinnati, you know, the people started, maybe a couple of them were calling him. And then after UCF in the championship game, he was getting calls. And then after SMU, it's like everybody wanted to be on the Tulane wave. And I'm going to say one thing I went to when Coach Fritz was at the Glazer Center and he got awarded the Bobby Dodd. We all know he won it before, but he actually got the award. And it was all the Tulane alumni from way back, man, guys that I grew up watching, you know, the Rock Honnesses of the world, and then Terrence Jones, who played when I was in college. But it was like all back, and you know, they're all talking about that game and you, and they go, can you believe that kid Spears? I mean, these are like legends in their own mind. There was a team with Lionel Washington, who was a 15-year NFL vet. I mean, this is like one of the great guys that I know. He was a coach with the Packers for years and years, and I've known him for a long time. I had him on the show right after this. But by the way, he's one of the teams. He beat LSU 3 out of 4 times, his class, him and Reggie Reginelli. But they're all talking about you and your team. This is amazing. They're like, this team has put us on the map. And listen, for the rest of your life, you're going to be known as that player and that team that did that.
Oh, man, that's great, man. That's great.
Special, huh?
It is.
Senior Bowl, what comes to your mind first?
Hey, I got to get it. I got to get it. This is my shot. This is my only shot. So
you got named the Practice Player of the Week, and I've been as an agent, and as I used to produce this game for years in the 90s and early 2000s before I was an agent. That's a big deal, man. The game is secondary. We know that every scout, everybody leaves. But that week, and I want you to explain to people what that week's like, because I think that really ramps up Tuesday, right? I mean, I know people get in there Tuesday through Thursday in particular, and Friday some. Just explain, because there's every agent, every GM, every player personnel guy, every NFL person. It is something else, and I want you to tell people what it's like from a player's point of view.
All right, from a player's point of view, you get there, you check in, you weigh in, you do all these type of meetings. The first day you do these, what you call this S2 test, this cognitive test, this IQ test, these other tests, you gotta fill out paperwork. Then you do all these meetings and stuff. You learn about financial, whatever you call what the financial advisor.
Right, sure, yeah.
So you learn
help
a lot.
You when you get your money and what to do with it, right?
So you learn a lot, but then it's practice. Well, the first day we had what you call informal meetings, so like where we probably moving around in a group of 6, and like they'll just trade us, and they'll make us go from table to table. So like it's special to be in the bowls because you get a grasp of every team. You meet with all 32 teams. By the time you
isn't that wild though?
Yeah, by the time you come there
crazy.
till you leave, so you interact with all 32 teams. And the best thing about that is, man, it's all about leaving impressions. It's how you gonna practice. Of course, it's how you gonna practice, and also leaving an impression on the teams when you encounter them with them. So the thing you gotta do, you gotta treat every team like that's gonna be the team that's gonna draft you, because you never know who's gonna draft you at the end of the day.
No doubt. You still don't know.
Yeah, I wish I'd known.
Right.
I wish I'd known, but I'm glad I don't.
2 or 3 days to figure it out.
I'm glad I don't, but like I said, man, it's a lot of hard work, man, because they gonna take every second. Like, you know, sometimes we ain't got back to our room at like 12, and we had to be up at like 6. So it's an amazing experience, but it's definitely a lot of work.
I'm gonna tell you a story you don't know.
What?
Fritz was sitting in that seat, literally that day, Tuesday, right? This is when the show's taped. It airs Tuesday night. He's like, right before we went on air, he got a call, and I said, you gotta turn his phone down. When the show starts, he goes, oh yeah. It was a coach, and I'll remain unnamed, but the coach asked him, because he said, yep, he's exactly like that. That's exactly what he's like. He goes, is this guy Tyjae Spears for real? Because he just seems way too nice. Like, he goes, I've never met a player that is, he goes, that's who he is. He's genuinely that person that you're talking to. He goes, he's either been coached really well as far as like what to say, or he goes, we ain't coached him at all. We just said be yourself.
That's it.
And I'm telling you, I got chills thinking about the moment because I was like, what exactly did he say? He goes, this guy's saying what we all say about Tyjae. He is genuinely that nice and that genuine and that person. And when you hear that, what does that feel like?
It feels good, man, because like I be questioning, do I got to work on my character? Sometimes I be feeling like I'm a mean person, but like, nah, I genuinely care about
Sometimes
people,
you think
man.
you're a mean person. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do though.
I mean, none of us are perfect, right? But I mean, you don't look like you have your smile doesn't just
sometimes
emanate mean. Yeah, we all have moments. Come on, man.
I be having my moments,
Yeah,
but like I said, man, I genuinely care about people, man. So like, I ain't putting on no show for nobody. I'm gonna be myself. Wherever I go, wherever I'm blessed to be, I'm gonna be myself, and I ain't putting on no show.
Combine experience, how was that?
I was, see, like, I'm good. No, I'm good, because guess what? I didn't experience, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't experience the Senior Bowl. I'm like, man, if I can make it through the Senior Bowl, I can make it through this.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like, you met a lot of great guys, and also, we learned a little bit more stuff too. So like, you met a lot of great guys, and also the chance to be under those lights. Also, we was in another NFL stadium. Like we in
Indianapolis. That's a big light stadium. Right.
We are. So like, it was a cool experience. Everything was cool.
I mean, listen. I mean, since I've seen the Cotton Bowl, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and now you got the draft, and now you got the big lights. Tell everybody what you're thinking, where you're watching. You know, we've all seen the pictures of people with their families, or they're in the green room waiting to get up. You know, some are excited, some are disappointed they don't get picked. So how are you doing the draft, and tell me your excitement level for it?
First, I'm doing the draft, and the first day, I'm gonna go to Mobile, and I'm gonna go kick it with Jim Nagy. He invited me down there. And the second day, I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna be in Hammond, Louisiana, with my family.
So that's the day you're hoping right there.
Yeah, the second day.
You know,
the third day is the backup day, and also it could be the main day. I'm gonna have a big party in Ponchatoula, Louisiana. I'm just hoping, you know, for a shot. I don't really care where it's gonna be. I'm just hoping for a shot, man. I'm gonna be blessed wherever I go.
What a great attitude, man.
I'm gonna be blessed wherever I go, because in the first beginning, I was so caught up in, man, I want to go as early as I can. But nah, man, I wasn't like we said, I wasn't here 4 months ago. If it was the draft for 4 months ago, I probably would, you know, went undrafted. But now I solidified a draft pick, so I'm blessed wherever I go.
Well, the owner of Shays de la Shays said, hey man, last time you were just a student, so we could only give you a certain amount, right? When you came on, you still had a game to play. Now we just tripled it, man. Go enjoy a nice dinner at Shays de la Shays. That's on Maple. You know where Maple is, right by Tulane, it's right by the Starbucks, between Carrollton and Broadway. Or you can go to the one on St. Charles. It's called just de la Shays. Enjoy that.
I appreciate it.
And by the way, you got the black one last time. But, you know, Let's Light Blue is the newest one, and you're going to look good in that. How'd that last one feel, by the way? That's your first test.
Yeah, I wore it the other day. It felt amazing. I think this one feel a little bit better.
Yeah, because that's the new one. They keep making it better and better. Tyjae Spears is sporting that blue. Tulane's got a little blue. Look at that blue right there. It matches a little bit close. It's close. That one's a little off, but it's still blue. There we go. We got a lot of Tulane working here. By the way, We're going to get you on. We're very, very happy. We've had a lot of great legends over the years on this. We're going to put you, I see Willie signed it. He's been on a bunch. He signed the big Willie Fritz roll wave, but he's got a little one here. We're going to put you right there by Shay. Look at Shay right there. Going to put you big right here.
I got you.
Remember, get on the corner so it don't smudge. This is Tyjae Spears. Let me go ahead and tell you this, guys. He had, freshmen, they don't play a ton, right? In his sophomore year, he had hoping for big things. He got the injury. He sat out all season. And then his junior year, man, saw the promise, almost 900 yards rushing. And he comes back his senior year, 1,600 yards rushing. Throw me another 300 receiving. He shows you can do everything. He's not just a guy that is a third down back. He's a guy that can bowl over people.
Four down back.
Four down back. That's right. Get him a ball on 4th and short. He's going to take that down. I love it. So, Tyjae, once again, thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. I cannot wait. I'm going to be as excited as you are. I am. Cannot wait for the moment you get drafted. I certainly, all the Tulane guys that are in the draft, Dorian Williams is going to come on. By the way, that linebacker, he's going to come on right after the draft. He's been working out in Arizona. I wish him all the luck. Nick Anderson, man, I wish you luck. I know whether you're drafted, you're going to be on an NFL roster come opening day. I promise you that. You know that. And all the other ones making in the backfield. Good luck, Tulane, and all the guys in the draft and hoping to be an NFL player one day. Congratulations to you and good luck. That was great. Tyjae Spears, one of my favorites. This is the time of year I always have a Tulane LSU guy. I didn't get LSU this year, but we always have one of these guys that guys like Perry Nickerson. You remember him back in the day. What's my big guy? The lineman for the Bengals. But anyway, we got Sample, and then even before that, we had guys play for the Rams in the Super Bowl too. But we have them here, and we love them, and we're going to continue that tradition. Hey, coming up next, we're going to have a guy that talks about these guys, one of the best in the business. I had him on before the Saints season. We talked about the Saints season coming up. They had some ups and downs. Now we're going to talk about the Saints and their potential guys in the draft. His name is Ross Jackson. He is with Locked On Saints, and he's coming up next right here on Primetime Sports.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lanes, the home of rock and roll.
Max Durbus Realtors has been providing commercial and industrial real estate services to its clients for nearly 100 years. Since 1934, Max Durbus has been locally owned and operated throughout the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, Hammond, and even the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. We focus on your commercial real estate needs so you don't have to. More information is available at 504-733-4555. The recent devastation from hurricanes have caused insurance companies to significantly raise their rates. However, most of them are offering large discounts if you install a fortified roof system, which uses larger nails and has a much stronger, resilient base underneath the shingles. The fortified roof professionals at Skyline Contractors can install these new roofing systems for you. More information is available at 504-355-6845 or at skylinecontractors.us.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. What an in-depth look at Tyjae Spears and what a great human being he is besides a great football player, and we all wish him luck. But let's talk about Saints right now because back in August, I had my first visit with a guy named Ross Jackson. That's right, he is with the Saints. What an impressive man he is. I love watching his stuff. I love listening to his stuff, and it's just so succinct. I mean, you got guys out there that are great. They've got the enthusiasm, but he's got the information and the delivery. He's got the whole package. I fully expect him to be doing something national soon. But here he is once again, right here, Locked On Saints host. His name is Ross Jackson.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, my friend?
Glad to be here with you, man. Thanks for having me back.
I feel like it was yesterday, but it's actually been about 8 months since I saw you. Right? You're on the show. I've met you for the first time. How's life been since?
It's been great. It's been great. I mean, being back in the great city in New Orleans, my hometown, being able to contribute to my community, it's been an incredible almost year so far. June will be the year point. So I'm excited about it.
Well, I'm not going to get in your personal story again, so we did that, but I'm going to say this. As a guy that left for a long time, Are you happy to be home? Because I mean, listen, I was gone for 30 years and I came back, and we got our ups and downs in our New Orleans. But are you happy to be here?
I'm incredibly happy to be home. I'm incredibly happy to be home. These are my people. This is my city. These are my streets. I mean, this is what I know.
Streets.
You know what I mean? And so I'm grateful I get to come back and leave something behind in a place that I almost had to leave behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it means a ton.
We all have to leave, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell everybody, so get out, explore, and then come back if you want to.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Saints. We got a big draft coming up. Obviously, it's a little bit of a disappointing season, but to be expected. It wasn't like everybody was, injuries played a part. But going forward, what's the big takeaway you had first of all from last season?
Yeah, I think that this is a team that thought that it had an identity going into 2022, wasn't able to necessarily capture and bottle that identity at all. And so, with changes at quarterback, as well as, of course, never getting their starting 5 defensive backs out on the field for a single snap, at all in 2022, which is absolutely wild. And so now they go into 2023's offseason by building an identity. Dennis Allen going out and getting his guys was his, look, it's the way that the NFL is built, but it is oftentimes also it's risky, and you have to be risky in today's NFL for sure, especially if you want to, be a head coach, you want to be a starting quarterback, you want to be, a GM, you have to be risky. And so I like that the Saints are kind of, accepting sort of this risky identity, and I think that will continue into the NFL draft.
You don't take chances, you don't win.
That's it.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You don't take
no
chances.
risk it, no biscuit.
And I say that in life as well. I mean, I've had some risks that didn't quite work out, and I've had some that totally panned out. You probably relate to that, right?
Been there.
Let's go before we get into the draft, which is only 2 days away. Free agency, do you felt the Saints did well? Do you felt they did okay? Did a home run? What is your take on this?
Yeah, I think they're off to a good start with their offseason because of free agency. I wouldn't look at their free agency period and their free agency captures as anything to say, all right, they are definitively better than they were in 2022. You could say that they're better at certain positions. I mean, I think they're clearly better at quarterback is obviously a big part of it.
Some say is most important in all sports, right?
Some would say that for sure.
Right.
And I agree, of course, that it is. And so I think that inherently kind of raises the floor a little bit for the team based upon where they were last year. The hope now is that everybody can stay healthy. You mentioned injuries played a part.
Yes.
That's such a big part of what 2023 will be. As they move into the draft, you're still looking at addressing some needs and things like that. I think they could have done a little bit more for their offensive line, maybe a little bit more in their offensive backfield, though the addition of Jamal Williams is one of my favorite additions across the NFL this year. And so,
let's go there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I was a big Jamal Williams fan in college, and then when I watched him against Wyoming in the last game of his career at BYU, running downhill against a team, it's Wyoming, but they had a really good defense, and he shredded them for like 230 yards, and I'm like, whoever gets this dude is going to get a workhorse. And unfortunately, went in the same draft as another great running back, obviously Aaron going to the Packers, and he became known as the big, bruiser, and that was the the kind of the guy that bounced around. But then we saw last season with the Detroit Lions led the NFL in touchdowns, and then his 18 touchdowns, correct, rushing?
17. Yeah.
And then he comes with that that welcome to New Orleans, and then even if you're not a football fan, you listen to this guy. How do you not love this guy with his hat and everything? I used to go to every one of these press conferences, and now that's one I said, I wish I was there. Yeah. Talk about that, because to me, I got chills thinking about it.
Yeah.
Did he endear himself to the city, and how is he going to help this football team?
Oh, 100% he did. 100% he did. And I think, the day that he was signed, the big message and the big takeaway on my show that day was Jamal Williams is the perfect fit for New Orleans. Not just the New Orleans Saints, but a perfect fit for the city of New Orleans. Yeah. And so, I look, and I happen to know his offseason workout regimen. He's catching 1,000 passes a day. Four times a week. He's doing 1,500 push-ups a day 4 times a week. He's doing, in water resistance, exercises, all these other things. He's doing a massive amount of work over the course of this offseason. And it just goes to show you how early his level of dedication is and what you should expect when you see him in the black and gold. So yeah, he'll help a ton in those short yardage situations, but his 2 big focuses this offseason, mental preparation and being able to understand the mental side of the game a little bit more and digging a little bit more into that, and then being a better pass catcher. Those are 2 things that he wants to add over the course of this offseason. And he's already pretty good in both of those things. So he's just continuing to refine those skills. I think he's going to be pretty big for the Saints in 2023.
I mean, I'm looking at you, I'm like, we got to get you on Fox, dude. I mean, for real. Coley, who we had replacing Holly Saunders our sideline just 3 years ago, I'm watching him now doing all the biggest stories in ESPN. I'm like, you're just as good or better than Coley. No offense, Coley. No, but for real, that. But back to this real quick before we get to the draft.
Yeah.
We know Kamara might have some stuff going, but let's just, besides that, how are these two in a perfect world when they do play together, and let's just say a big if and when, How are they going? How do you foresee their use going with the New Orleans Saints next season?
Yeah, I think it gets you a little bit closer to the boom and zoom of 2017, 2018, to where you can let Alvin Kamara be a little bit more of a change of pace back. One of the things that you saw from Alvin Kamara in 2022 that kind of lessened his production is how often he was running between the tackles, because he was the workhorse back. He did everything last year. He was the pass catcher. He was the satellite back. He was the guy between the tackles. He was a short yardage guy. He was a long yardage guy. He was everything. And so now he doesn't have to be that anymore. So it kind of gets you back a little bit to maybe not necessarily the boom and zoom 2017, 2018, but let's say Latavius Murray, right?
Yeah.
His partnership with Latavius Murray 2019, 2020, which was still
I think
really
the ceiling's
good.
higher, though.
Yeah, and I think so too. And so I like what they're able to do. Here's the other thing that I like about it too, though, is that you can have them on the field at the same time, because both can catch passes, both of which can be utilized. You can motion Alvin Kamara out to the slot, all these other things. So it just gives you an opportunity, and Pete Carmichael an opportunity to have a canvas with which he could be extremely creative.
As much as I even like Latavius Murray, and of course Mark Ingram had his great time here, for whatever reason, because Jamal's more right now to me in the prime of obviously than Ingram when he came back. Like, I feel very comfortable when Kamara's out of the game, as opposed to, like, I feel like I'm hoping more with the other guys because he was at the end of his career, and Latavius is good, but he didn't have that. I just feel comfortable with whoever's in at this point because that's a good feeling. Let's get to the draft, though. I know you've been asked this a million times. I saw your great segment with Doug Mouton on Sunday on 4th Down and 4. Love Doug. Love what he does there. You were great. But let's pretend nobody watched that.
Yep.
What are your thoughts for the Saints with that 29th pick, whether they stay or move? Give me, you have the floor and talk.
Yeah, I think it's possible that they move.
Right.
But if they move, I don't think it's going to be very much. I don't think we're looking at a 2018 jumping from 27 to 14 type of a situation. I think maybe you're looking at if somebody that they really like tumbles into the 20s, a trade with the Los Angeles Chargers at 21. A trade with Jacksonville Jaguars at 24 would make a ton of sense. They have a lot of history together, the two organizations. And so, like, I like that potential move. And there you're moving 5 picks. You don't have to really leverage a future draft pick in order to be able to do that.
The irony is you mentioned that draft.
You know
That's where they got Davenport, and they gave 2 number 1s, including that one, right?
Right.
And do they go in that direction? Davenport's no longer here. We knew he had monster ability, monster potential, and injuries cut him short. Where do they go with this, do you think?
Yeah, I think, there's another edge rusher that's there. Again, I don't think you have to leverage the future first round in order to move up for this one. But if a guy like Myles Murphy out of Clemson tumbles into 21, 24, that makes a lot of sense. If the Saints want to address their defensive interior, which is one of their biggest things that they need to make sure that they address over the course of this offseason and in the draft, they could go with another guy out of Clemson as well, in Brian Brzee, the defensive tackle.
That's how you pronounce it, Brzee.
Brzee.
All right, thank you.
Yep. So Brian Brzee, the reason why I like him is that he's one of these guys that is massively productive. You can, even though the numbers don't reflect it. So box score scouting will lead you one way, but understanding the context of his situation. Look, before the 2022 season, or in the 2022 season in September, his little sister at 15 years old passed away due to a 18-month fight with brain cancer. That's a lot to carry in for your final season, and then to turn around and put together your second best season during that time. And this was a guy who was the #1 recruit in the country coming out of high school. One above Bryce Young, who's probably going to be 1-1 this year. And he's also a guy that comes into the NFL now with, look, he was the defensive rookie of the year in terms of the ACC and all these other things. So he just brings all these accolades with him. He's an incredibly fun player to watch, really strong, violent hands.
He's fun on the field, too, with his teammates.
Fun. Yeah. And he's a big-time culture guy, big-time locker room guy.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's just a great pass rusher from the interior. So I like him. But if the Saints decide not to make that move and they want to stay at 29, there's another really good disruptive.
So Brzee is not a guy you can get at 29.
He might be.
Right.
He might be. But if they don't want to wait it out, there's a chance that they could move up to grab him. If let's say he goes at a unexpectedly high spot in the first round, and then you start to look at your second defensive tackle on the board that could be left at 29, I like Mazi Smith.
Michigan.
Defensive tackle out of Michigan. Love him.
Big guy, man.
Really disruptive, super physical. And remember, he was a guy that on one side of him, he had a premier pass rusher. On the other side of him, he had Aiden Hutchinson, right? And so, he had those bookends in 2021. So his production wasn't that of a pass rusher, it was that of a run stopper. So he's got great run stop ability, which the Saints can use a little bit of help in. They were 24th last year, and he is an interior defensive lineman.
So he's one of those rare ones that can get to the quarterback and plug stop. Right?
And you saw in 2022 his ability to be able to get after the passer. So he's a refined run stopper, refined guy as a run defender, but he's got a lot of untapped potential and a lot of visible potential, I want to stress, as a pass rusher from the interior as well, which I think is something that the Saints should be looking for in this year's draft.
Any chance the Saints use both first two picks, 29, is it 40?
29 to 40.
Or is it 40, 41, whatever, 40.
40.
It's 71, right.
Yeah.
Any chance they use the first two on defensive line?
Very much so. I think that's completely possible. You look at guys like Bijou Ojulari out of LSU who fit the Saints prototype in terms of size, arm length, things like that. You could see another guy maybe that drops into the second round, become available as an edge rusher. I could also see them going to the opposite side of the football, but staying in the trenches at offensive line.
That's what I was going to ask you. You didn't mention that earlier. You said maybe they could have done a little more there. Do they address that early? And if they do, you have anybody in mind? I know that's a crapshoot at offensive line.
No, it's all good. Yeah, at pick 40, TCU Steve Avila is a great option. Really physical.
His games with the Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great. So you've seen him. You know how great he is. And he is a mauler on the offensive line. And so I like him a lot as a guy that could potentially be there at 40. So if you turn around and you go, let's say Brian Brzee at 24, or if you trade up, or you go Mozzie Smith at 29, if you stand pat, then you go with Steve Avila out of TCU at 40. You've completely changed your offensive line and your defensive line for the better. Now, the thing to keep in mind is why invest in the offensive line, particularly on the interior. Andres Pete we got a rework deal.
Thank goodness.
He's now in a contract year.
Thank goodness.
Right. And then
no
Cesar.
Offense.
No, you're good. And then Cesar Ruiz, his 5th-year option hasn't been picked up yet, so he could be going into a contract year as well. So you've got both of your starting guards on a contract year. You want to have a succession plan. You don't want to be stuck trying to fill those gaps when they potentially both open up.
On paper, the Saints lines always look great, but let's be real. There's injuries every year. And
absolutely.
Then all of a sudden you're just scrambling.
Yeah.
Tight end. This is a great tight end draft. I mean, I haven't seen their names,
good.
But I mean, I went to Oregon State, did their games. Dalton Kincaid. It seems like they had 5 great tight ends at Utah. Is that a position they might address? I mean, who knows?
I think so. I don't think it's a round 1 position to look at.
Right.
Guys like Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, who you spoke of. They're both fantastic.
The kid out of Oregon State's darn good, too.
Oh, yeah, Luke Musgrave. Yeah, he's great. And he's massively athletic, all these other things. But so if you look at some of these other guys that could be first-rounders, Kincaid and Mayer in particular, they could be there at 29. That's absolutely possible. You see now the Green Bay Packers with that pick 13 early. And they now have 2 second-round picks. Seeing them go wide receiver early and then trade back into the first for a tight end is something I could imagine seeing. And so that might take one of those other tight ends off the board. But either way, I think tight end is a spot where if you're an NFL club, you want to be involved in this class because it's historically good. It's ridiculously good, but you don't have to do that at the very top.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you about the guy that was just sitting here because what a great human being, great player. What do you like about him?
Everything.
Everything.
I mean, like, just look at it. Look, I brought the green tie.
That's right, Tyjae. If you're still watching, he's got that for you.
I brought the green tie for you and everything because I know. Like, look, I think that he's one of those guys that you should watch in this year's draft for the New Orleans Saints, along with a couple of other guys that are pass catchers and stuff like that. But when you think about, you mentioned Alvin Kamara's situation.
Yeah.
He could potentially be missing at least 6 games in 2022,
easily.
2023. You want a guy that you can plug in as a partner with Jamal Williams that doesn't change your playbook because he can run everything. That's the guy.
When can you get him? 71?
I would love to see him at 71. You might have to move up a little bit, but we've seen that the Saints have no problem doing that as well. So you think back to the 2017 draft, what did they do? They moved up to 69 with the San Francisco 49ers to grab Alvin Kamara. You take 71, you package it with one of those, let's say, round 5 picks. That should be enough to get you up into the 60s range, 50s range, and then maybe you can even get up ahead and snag him there.
I'm going to say this, Ross. I mean, you can still do Locked On Saints. You can still make it to every Saints game because I've proven. I did Saints pregame right before Bobby's and still be a sideline reporter, so we got to talk for real.
I got you, man.
I'll do your agent's work for free.
There you go.
How about that? I was an agent, NFL and NBA for a bit, but here, Task Performance.
So
I know you got one last time,
and I love it, and I'm so excited to have a second one.
Do you? Okay, you don't have that color, right?
Not this color. No,
that's my
but
favorite.
I do love this one.
That's a new color, and then also we're gonna we double you up this time.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Go out there, enjoy it. You can go to Delachey's or Shays Delachey's. They're both uptown. One's on St. Charles, one's on Maple. This is Ross Jackson. Y'all check him out. Enjoy his stuff. I'm gonna tell you, I don't sit here in candy coat. Phenomenal work, phenomenal, and he's one of the best we got. So enjoy that. I thank him so much coming at last notice, and I appreciate that. Hey, big stuff coming up, and I got that gymnastics team coming. I got Brian Kelly. I mean, he's like, Scott, I'm coming. He called me last Monday. I'm coming. I can't do this week today, because he had to do the post-spring stuff. But he's coming soon. We got a big lineup coming. Mulkey's coming too. We're going to talk to whoever the Saints pick. It's going to be fun. I want to thank everybody in the back right there. Let's start with Will Hill, man. He just got a ball signed by Tyjae Spears. He's in heaven. Love him. And, of course, the guys Ron and Jim. But I can't do it without Logan Graffia. He's got his own draft book. Hey, check his thing out. out. Mike Detilliers retired. Mel Kiper's on his way out too. Check out Logan's stuff, and of course, Alex Chacon. I can't hear without him. I can't talk without him. And there you go. I want to thank everybody at WLAE, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks to Ross Jackson, Tyjae Spears. Good luck in the draft, Tyjae. We'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here. Hey, can I get a seat?
For the love of palmetto cheese.
Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.